This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Hindu.
Now, what a golden Tuesday evening we have. Call it infectious because I'm smiling because the Indians are out on the fields and the tracks and they have conquered and prevailed. Our Chutney team has entered the semi-finals and the women's relay team have clinched gold. But someone who is not going to be cheering on is Mr. Vaiko, who is literally pulling down the pom-poms on Mahinda Rajapakse's VIP visit to the closing ceremony of the Commonwealth Games. Our senior correspondent Fiz Muhammad joins us with that message being sent out and what it could really mean. But in the midst of all that, the state has pushed button accelerate for a legislative council. But is there much more to it than what we see on the surface? Answering all those riddles and questions for me this evening, our former election commissioner Naresh Gupta and political analyst Jnani. And finally, in today's Business of Headlines, Ashmit Kumar tells us why the Blackberry Boys are singing a different tune tonight. Good evening, I'm Evelyn Matthew. This is Headlines Now. Before I look into all those stories in detail, here are the headlines. After a death threat finds its way into Karunanidhi's inbox, the Central Crime Branch takes charge. The Black Cats are on their guard.
Given that letter to the CCB, they are taking up an investigation for the case.
As the ruling DMK steps on the accelerator for the long-awaited Legislative Council, the opposition parties cry foul. Parents bring on criminal charges to the table to take down the violating schools in the city. They seek a clean system of fee structure. Vaiko says the swagatham to the Lankan president for the Commonwealth Games is an insult to the Tamils. Karunanidhi lifts the spirit of the long-smitted TASMAC employees. He announces a 20% bonus ahead of Deepavali. Jayalalitha is the new voice of the NLC contract workers. She ridicules the DMK regime, calling it anti-labor. And when heroes turn ad kings and queens, the incoming mullah is big and smiling. Let's also take a look at the rest of the day's news from other parts of the country. A breather for the Yediyurappa government. The Karnataka High Court reserves its judgment on the disqualification of rebel MLAs. The governor tells Yediyurappa to take the trust vote again and prove his majority on the 14th, but the BJP accuses him of bias. The Indian shooters take India to its highest ever gold total of 31. Hina Anuraj pairs up for a 10-meter air pistols victory. India is perched on top at the end of day 4 of the Aussie test. The Aussies have only 3 tail-enders to save them. 4 elephants die in 5 days near the Kaziranga National Park. Poisoning is suspected to be the reason. And the centre gives the BlackBerry an early Christmas present. The deadline to provide full access to all of its services is extended to the 31st of December. Now, they are 2 of the most protected leaders in Tamil Nadu. But if Amma gets 10 death threats, can Kalaignar be far behind? The Central Crime Branch of the Chennai Police has started its investigation into Monday's email threatening to kill the Chief Minister. Ms. Jayalalitha's threats are being probed by the CBI. No one really knows who is behind these threats. But observers wonder if all this is just mischief or part of the dirty games politicians play. Our crime reporter Salim has more.
Amma and Kalaignar, you have got mail addressed to them, but now a headache for the men guarding them. An unfazed AIADMK chief Jayalalitha has decided to go ahead with her Madurai rally next week, ignoring the 10 threat letters which the CBI is now investigating. Her arch rival and the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has his crime band sleuths in hot pursuit of the sender of an email threat to him. Jayalalitha's threats emanated allegedly from supporters of Union Minister Alagiri, who claims to be opposed to her upcoming rally in their Madurai bastion. And predictably, the threat to Mr. Karunanidhi is allegedly from an Amma loyalist. The email says, "I did not like you fighting with our Jayalalitha madam, so sorry, we don't want you to live. 3 of her people are there inside your circle and bombs will be planted in your car."
We have given that letter to the CCB, they are taking up an investigation for that case.
All along, the cops have had to deal with bomb hoax scholars. Now, it's perhaps a new breed of political party workers out to get even with the force of their leaders. In Chennai, with Salim Ramanathan for NDTV Hindu.
Now in other news, it's one of Chief Minister Karunanidhi's pet projects, and the ruling DMK is going all out to form the Legislative Council 26 years after it was abolished. But the opposition is trying to throw a judicial spoke in the wheel. Our senior correspondent Peer Muhammad looks at the road ahead.
The hostel near the news secretariat is being demolished at a record pace. It is to make way for the new quarters to house the 78 members of the Legislative Council. The process to hold elections to that body are underway. But at least 4 cases in the Madras High Court question the haste shown by the ruling dispensation to constitute this council.
The Assembly has to elect 1/3 of the total strength of the Legislative Council. And those members, the present MLA's term will be over in another few months. There's no urgency.
The opposition AIADMK has opposed the way constituencies of local authorities, graduates and teachers were determined during the 2 all-party meets conducted by the Election Commission. But the process of getting the final electoral rolls ready by December this year has been kick-started. The apprehension in Amma's camp is that the DMK may offer its ally the Congress seats in the council ahead of the assembly polls. And this comes at a time when Ms. Jayalalitha has made overtures to the Congress High Command.
By conducting this Legislative Council election, the people are not going to be immediately benefited. The beneficiaries are going to be the ruling government as well as the ruling alliance. So only they are hurrying the process. So we want this process to be exhaustively planned, and we want the election to be conducted after the new assembly elections.
Work is in full swing to form the Legislative Council ahead of the 2011 Assembly elections. But the opposition-backed parties have moved the Madras High Court to stop the process. In a week's time, we will be knowing if the government is successful in its efforts. In Chennai, Peer Muhammad, NDTV Hindu.
And joining me this evening is Naresh Gupta, the former Chief Electoral Officer, all the way from our Hindu studios. Back in our studios, we have political analyst Jnani. Now, just to start with you, sir, in principle, you think this is a very good aspect, but it's perhaps being misused in one way or the other?
Yeah, I'm happy about the revival of the Legislative Council because that's the only way sober, wise, knowledgeable people can also get into the policy making.
Right.
Like many of our eminent educationists or doctors or other professionals would not be able to contest an election, and no party would give them a ticket either.
Yes.
So we need the council for the sake of really knowledgeable people to come in there and give their views. But presently, it looks the present government is abusing it. Like we are only about a month to go for the roles to be completed. They've announced that the last date would be November 1st week for graduates and teachers to enroll themselves as potential voters, which means they are planning an election around December. And within the next few months, the MLAs would be losing their posts. A new assembly has to take shape. And it will be very unfair for the outgoing MLAs to elect councillors for the council,
Yes.
Which will be there for a couple of more years.
All right. Now, just to come to you, Mr. Naresh Gupta, how do you read into this development as a former Chief Electoral Officer?
Actually, the formation of the Legislative Council involves a very facile procedure. It's a very simple procedure in the sense that the Assembly passes a resolution and then the Parliament enacts a law. It's the same procedure applies whether it's for abolition or creation of the council. So in the past, the council was there in Tamil Nadu, then it was abolished. Similarly, in Andhra Pradesh also, there was a legislative council, it was abolished. So the procedure involved is very simple, and therefore it is possible that political considerations may enter into whether it is for creation of the council or it is for abolition. Now this council, of course, can be a parking place for, it can be for eminent people also, distinguished people who may not want to undergo the hassle of the election process. But it can be also a parking place for those who may not be able to find a place in the assembly, and to increase the people, the party people who will get some position. So to that extent it will help the political party or parties concerned.
Right. I just want to get your reaction to that. Do you think a political formula that way will really work out advantage?
In fact, it will work to their advantage. In fact, let us remember why MGR dissolved this council,
right,
and why he abolished it at that time. He abolished it because it was then packed with a lot of anti-MGR legislators who were supported by DMK. So he didn't want a nuisance to go on for him. So that was the reason why he abolished it. Now what Karunanidhi is trying to do is to pack a council with his supporters and his henchmen, so that even if he loses in the next election, the council can be a big stumbling block to whoever comes to power.
Also, is it also a way of perhaps pleasing their allies ahead of the assembly elections? PMK, as we know, it is a cat on the wall.
It is not just pleasing the allies, it is manipulating the allies. In fact, it is even manipulating the alliance itself, like promising legislative council seats and making them commit themselves for the assembly elections. So the bargain can start right away, not just when the assembly elections are on. The bargain can begin when the council election itself.
Okay, an early bargaining, Mr. Gnani calls it. But coming back to you, Mr. Naresh Gupta, this has obviously come in after 26 long years. As far as consultation is concerned, do you think maybe there was a lack of something like that in this process?
No, actually, consultation, legally the procedure, of course, as I indicated, it involves a passing of a resolution by the assembly, then the parliament has to enact a law for this purpose. The question is, of course, there is a writ which has been filed in the High Court by some elements. They are questioning one is the basis, that is taking the general population instead of the population of the teachers, graduates and the local authority members. The other aspect they are questioning is that the parliament has not approved the determination, the fixing of the constituencies. So without undergoing that procedure, the next step has been taken, that is of preparation of the electoral rules. Now the High Court, of course, will go into those aspects.
All right, like now he said maybe that is also another issue.
I think there should have been a little more
consultation. Yes, why?
Particularly in the last 26 years, our polity has changed, our civil society has changed. The last 26 years since MBR abolished the council.
Yes.
We have a huge NGO sector which is really doing a lot of work at the ground level when the government fails. So which means this NGO sector has no representation now. There is no constituency allocated for them. So we should have consulted NGOs about what kind of changes they would like to have. So an open people's forum should have been called for. And a discussion held with various representatives of different organizations, different segments of our society.
So when
for example, student community, where is the representation for the student community?
Right.
Now it is a huge one. So we need to represent the education department, medicine, health, professionals. So there are so many professionals, media, for example, but there are representation only now for teachers and graduates, which are two large constituencies to represent.
Yes. So at this point, do you think when the opposition parties are really coming forward and saying this is not perhaps the best way to go ahead with it, there is some truth in it?
No, the opposition parties are not saying in principle about it. They are simply saying which will be the better time for them to wangle more seats. So they are more worried about how many seats they can wangle. So they are looking for the more opportune time for them. They are not really looking at the composition of the council itself or the structure itself.
All right. One final question to you, Mr. Naresh Gupta. Looking at the road ahead, do you think it's a big task ahead this December, come December?
No, actually, before I come to the schedule for the elections, just to say, comment on what was said just now, the point is that the law, the constitution at present provides for particular electors like graduates, teachers and the local authority members, apart from MLAs, determining the MLCs, the members of legislative council, and then there is the nomination by the governor. Of course, the founding fathers of the constitution might at those days thought differently, because graduate qualification may not have been so common when illiteracy was so high in India. So that is why it was the constitution itself will require a change. On the question about this schedule, the electoral rolls will be ready most probably by end of December. So the elections on that basis, the earliest timing of the elections could be possibly January end or February, but the election commission will have to take a view. Also the legislative assembly elections will be due in April or May. Therefore that will also have to be factored in while determining the schedule for the legislative council elections. Of course it will be a challenge for the electoral machinery, in the sense that now they will be taking up shortly the summary revision of electoral rolls for 2011, that is with 1st of January as the qualifying date. they will have they have to take up the preparation of the Legislative Council electoral rolls also, and then in a small way the preparations for the elections for the assembly will also have to commence. So they will have the electoral machinery, the state electoral machinery will have a very difficult time now.
Right. I guess on that note, we'll have to end that discussion. But thanks very much indeed, Mr. Naresh Gupta and Mr. Gnani. One thing's clear, with 26 years, the face of India and the face of Tamil Nadu also has seen some change with respect to the civil society. Thanks very much once again for joining us this evening on Headlines Now. Now, still ahead on the bulletin, fed up with the schools who just don't want to follow rules, agitated parents take up the criminal case route to get justice.